This past summer, when it seemed that riots and protests were popping up all over the planet, there was one particular protest that was happening in one of the world's larger cities where there were two groups on opposite sides of one topic. And it started to get very ugly, very hostile. At one point, one man from one side of the group, he jumped into the middle. And a lot of people from the other side, they attacked him. And they started beating him very severely. And when it was getting to the point of this man's life might be in danger, that's when one person who was on the side of those who were beating him also jumped in, but not to beat him. Instead, he pushed the others away. And he looked at this man who was so beaten down that he couldn't even stand on his own 2 feet. And he picked him up and he carried him. He carried him all the way to safety. He saved his life, even though he was on the opposite side of the topic they were arguing about that day. I tell you that story because in Deuteronomy chapter 1, Moses reminds the Israelites that God did something similar for them. When he says, "You saw with your own eyes as you were in Egypt, and you saw with your own eyes over the years in the wilderness. You saw with your own eyes as God, He carried you like a father carries his son. And He carried you all the way to the final destination. All the way." It reminds me of the story Jesus told about the shepherd leaving the 99 sheep and going after the one. The one was lost and weak, and you might imagine that sheep was kind of scared. And the shepherd went after it and found it and picked it up and put it over his shoulders and walked him all the way home. And what did the sheep need to do in order to get the shepherd to do that for him? Nothing. Except be weak and lost and scared, maybe broken. It's just something that the Father was willing to do for Israel, and something the shepherd was willing to do for that one, and something that God is determined to do for you too. That's the promise He made you when He sent the Good Shepherd to do everything under His control, even offer up His own life as our substitute, to take our hell so that one day He could carry us all the way into heaven. All the way. I love that phrase, because there are certain parts along the journey where we begin to wonder, am I going to make it? Am I going to be okay? Is whatever's going on in my life going to get the best of me? Is God really going to want anything more to do with me? Moses pointed to the past to remind Israel that God already answered that question. They were kind of stubborn along the way, and weak, and lost, and broken. And yet they saw with their own eyes that God faithfully carried them, like a father carries his son, all the way to the final destination. And He will do the same for you. So rest well tonight, my friends. Your God is carrying you all the way home.